Hello and welcome to video 13. Like always, I'm going to start by summarizing what I did in the last video. So in the last video, I got it working, the project working in Python 3. And so what I did was, first off, I modified the setup file to include Django as a requirement. So when you install this module, it installs Django along with it. Also, in the admin file, I removed this allow tags part because that's not part of Django anymore. And I replaced it with this format HTML call. And I did that here as well. And then also, I fixed some imports. So instead of just utils, I had to put the module.utils. And then same thing down here. And also, I added this cascade explicitly to this foreign key definition, because the newer versions of Django require this, whereas the old versions, it was implicit. So that's what I did last video. And on this video, I'm going to get the actual graphs to show up on the web page. So it's on this, this show graphs page right now. It just shows the name of the graph set. And when you click on it, it takes you to the response, which is just the raw data. And for this video, I'm going to modify this so that it actually calls this API endpoint and prints the graph on the page. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to sort of retrace my steps to explain how I figured this out, because I already, like right now, I know how to do this, but I don't want to just write the code out directly because that would be boring. So instead, what I want to do is just show the process that I went through to kind of figure this out. So I'm just going to go like step by step of how I got this working. So the first thing I did was I Googled for Plotly, which is the name of the library we're using, and then installation. And then up comes this web page here, which I click on, and it shows you the instructions on how to install it. And it's just really simple. This right here, which I already did, so I'm not going to do it again. And then if you scroll down a little bit, it gives you this little snippet of code, which you can, it's just really simple, that you can copy and paste and it'll make you a graph. And it's just to kind of verify that it's working properly. And this is just a really, really simple example. And so what I did was I went into my code and I just go to this utils folder, and I'll just make a function called make graph. I'm just going to copy this code in. And then I'm going to just run it. And then there it is. There's the graph. And so what this is doing is it's importing the library, and then it's creating this figure object, and it's passing in this right here, which is just presumably a bar graph. And the y value is 321, and then that gets passed into this figure, and then it's this variable name that stores the figure object, and then we're calling the write HTML method, and then it's storing it to this file, this first figure.html, and then this auto open just executes the file so that it opens up in my browser. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to view source. So I want to see how this is going on, so I view source. And you can see in this page when it comes up that it's just absolutely humongous, and there's just lots and lots of stuff, and it's a gigantic file, and I'm never going to figure out like what's going on here because there's just too much stuff. So what it's actually doing is it is actually pasting in this plotly.js. This is the actual library that is generating the graph, and it's just pasting it in, and it's doing that so that this page is like a standalone page, and it'll run no matter what, even if your computer is offline. But it makes it hard to read this code. So what I then did is I want to look for more options. Like maybe there's an option I can pass in that causes it to, paste in this in a different way. So I did some Googling and I couldn't find any documentation for this. And so what I did was I commented out this and I just had it return the actual object itself, the method object. And so we'll just do this again. And so now it's returning the actual the bound method. And what I'm going to do is save it to this variable x and then put a question mark after it. And what that does is it loads up something called the doc string, which gives you information about all the different options that are available. And so you can look through all these and look at all the options that it has. And there's this one option here. It says include poly.js. And it says, if you read through here, it says if cdn, a script tag that references the plotly.js cdn is included in the output. So that's what we want. Otherwise, if it's true, then it is doing what it did for us right here, which is it's including it in line, and that causes the output to be 3 megabytes, which is not what we want. So we want to set this to be CDN. So I'm going to go here and we'll try it again. Before I do that, I'm going to close this. And now it should make the same graph, but the difference is it's not including that script in line, and so that's what it is. So this is a much smaller file, and it's a lot more. We can read what's going on. So it said here's the thing here. So we're going to copy this and put this into our page. So this loads the actual Plotly library, so that it's available on the page. And so then what it's doing is it looks like it's injecting this thing here, which is a div, and it has this weird ID, F53F7DB8, and this is the same as this right here. Actually, it's right here also. And I'm not sure what this line is here for. What it's saying is that if this item has been created, then run this code. But why would it not be there? Because it put it there. So I don't understand why it puts this here. So I'm just going to ignore that. But right here is where it's actually doing the work. It looks like it's this plotly.newplot, and this plotly is coming from this file here. And the first argument is the name of where we want the plot to be, which is this div, and it references it by ID. And then the next item looks like it just says type and it's bar, so it's a bar graph. And then here's the Y, which is our data. And then it passes in this thing. And this looks like it's just a bunch of options, like scatter polar arg1, color bar, color scale, color line, header, color axis, arrow width. This is all just options, and I think we can probably just leave this out. So this looks like the important stuff right here. So I'm going to copy this, and well, first I'm going to. There's also this right here. It says class plotly graph div. I don't know if this is important, but I'm just going to leave it in, and maybe later I can experiment with removing it. Maybe that'll maybe it's not necessary. I don't know. So I'm just going to make a div, and also this height 100% width 100%. We're going to change this because we don't want this graph to be the whole size of the page. We only want it to be, maybe like 600 pixels wide, maybe. We don't want it to be the whole page. So I'm going to first make the div. So right here. And for the ID, I'm just going to call it the name of the graph set. The ID just has to be something unique. And this is the only time we're going to use this name for an ID. So I'm just going to call it that. And then I'm going to give it a style. We'll just say width is 600. Width is, height is maybe 450. And I'll add a border. Now refresh. There's the border. All right, this is the area where we're going to draw the graph. And then we're going to add a script. And I'm going to paste in this code right here that actually makes the graph. Except instead of it being this, it's going to be the name of the plot, which is graph set. And then that's it. We're going to leave this template thing. We're going to just leave that off because it's probably not necessary. There's probably default values that will that'll get loaded. So you got to make sure this is correct. Looks to be correct. We got a parenthesis here. There it is. Sometimes this doesn't do the coloring correctly, and I have to go to something else and then back to HTML to get the coloring to work. But yeah, this looks correct. And yeah, so let's try this. And there it is. There's our graph. But right now it's still just showing 231, and we don't want 231. Also, it's showing a bar graph, and we don't want a bar graph. We want it to be a line. So to get it to be something other than a line, we probably have to change this to something else. But I don't know what to change it to. So what I could do is look through the documentation, but that might take a long time. So instead, I'm just going to refer to this right here. This is where it comes from, this bar. So I'm going to see what else we have. So instead of go.bar, maybe there's some other kind of go dot something else that we could use. So I'm going to go to the shell and just import this. And just go dot and then hit tab, and then it'll show me all the options. So there's a whole bunch of these. We can look through and maybe find one that is, here we go, scatter. We'll try scatter. Maybe scatter works. So I'll go here and just retrace bar to scatter. And then we will run it again. And there it is, there's our line. So that was correct, it is scatter. So now we view source, and yep, it says scatter. So we'll go to our code here, and we'll change this to say scatter. And then refresh, and there's our scatter plot. And that's all. That's going to be it for this video. In the next video, I'm going to make an AJAX request. It'll be .ajax. Then it's going to be this URL. And then after that AJAX is done, it'll print out this. And the response will be, so instead of just saying 231, we're going to say data dot, it's data y. Then also we'll include an x equals data dot x. And so this data is going to be the result of this AJAX call. And then so the data will get will go into the graph, and it'll make an actual graph based on that. But that'll be the next video. So I'm going to now commit. I'm going to delete this. We don't need this anymore. And that's it. I'll see you next video.